All right, Unit 1, Lesson 5 puts the polynomials together. In other words, we already know how to add and subtract, and we just went over multiplication and division. So let's just take time to review. If you're going to add something, all you have to do is combine like terms. That's it. So in other words, obviously, x cubed. Let's look for some more x cubes. Up, there we go. A positive x cubed and a negative x cubed cancel out. 2x squared. Are there any other 2x squareds? No. A negative 3x and a negative x gives me a total of negative 4x. A negative 1 and a positive 4 gets me a plus 3. For subtraction, it depends on how you look at it. I like to change it to add the opposite and then combine like terms. Because let's face it, adding is a heck of a lot easier than subtraction. That's why you were taught adding first and subtraction second. So I'm going to come up here in my pen and I'm going to add, and then everybody after it changes to the opposite. X squared and a negative 2x squared is going to leave me with negative x squared. I cross those off because I've used them. A negative 3x and a positive x gets me negative 2x. And a positive 2 plus a negative 2 cancel out. Now, remember for multiplication, you have quite a few ways that you can do multiplication. You can distribute. You can use a table. Or you can do it my old-fashioned way. We'll call it the third grade way. Any one of those will result in a correct answer. And after you do the either distribute, tabular, or third grade way, you then must combine like terms. Division, you have two ways to do it. You can do reverse tabular, or you can do the third grade way again. And there's no worry about combining like terms here, really, because it all comes out in the end. All right, so putting it all together, we want to now take it one step further. And that's the whole idea of Common Core math, that when you see something, you not only do what the problem is commanding you to do, but you see other little insights to them. And that's what putting it all together means. That's right, we're going to have a party. All right, whatever. So the structure of polynomials. We have three examples here. Probably back when you were in 8th grade, you would look at this one, and all you would see is the addition. And you'd add away and get your answer, and we go, yay, good for you, you can add. But we want to do more than that now. We do want you to add this together. So it's adding, and we just learned that when we add, all we have to do is combine like terms. So I have 2x cubed and a negative 6x cubed gets me negative 4x cubed. A negative x squared and a 11x squared gets me positive 10x squared. Negative 9x, 2x, negative 7x, A 7 and a -9 gets me -2. Like I said, in 8th grade, we'd be done. Yay, good for you. But Algebra 2, we want to look at things as graphs. So when we look at this, we need to know some basics. First one. It has a highest degree of 3, so it's cubic. Now, we talked about this briefly in 8th grade, for those of you who had me. I think all of you had me. But anyway, the cubic is one tail down and one tail up. You're going to learn about this more in a couple of sections. And then you're going to learn about this negative actually reverses it so that it starts with a tail up and then goes to a tail down. So we're going to flip this left, right, and that's what actually it looks like. So we do know it's cubic. We're also going to learn later that it crosses the x-axis in 3 spots. We talked about that before. And the last thing that you should know, that the y-intercept is -2. Y-intercept means we put 0 in for x. And what do we get? Right? If we put 0 in for x, it makes everything go away, meaning that if we put 0 in for x, our y value is -2. So that way now, when I go to graph it, I have a general idea very quickly. 0, -2. It's cubic, so one tail up, one tail down, but it's reversed. So it's going to look something, maybe like that. But we know it has to cross the x-axis 3 times. But we get an idea in our head of what it looks like before we graph it and get the actual picture of it. And that's the point, that we want to make sense of it before we do anything with it. Okay, for example 2, there's a lot going on here. They want us to multiply and then subtract. So I'm not actually going to do this all out right now, but I want to look at it if we were graphing it. I want to be able to quickly look at this and go, hey, x times x gets me 3x squared. And then over here, x is going to get squared, and I'm subtracting them, so I have 2x squared. Hey, and x squared means it's a parabola. And since it was positive 2x squared, we know that's a parabola that opens up. So we have the general idea, the shape of the graph. And likewise, the y-intercept. What's the y-intercept going to be? Oh, the y-intercept is when we put 0 in for x. And look, if we put 0 in here, well, 0 plus 5 is 5 times 0 minus 1 is -1. And then we want a minus. 0 minus 4 is -4. -4 squared is 16. So this ends up being -5 minus 16. So we know that our y-intercept is -21. So again, we've got a rough idea that if we were to graph this, it would look something like this, with our y-intercept being at 0, -21. How about we take a look at one more? Ooh, this is a division problem. Well, we know the highest degree here is x to the 10th, and it's getting divided by an x. So it's an x to the 9th is our highest degree. Well, once again, we talked about this very briefly in 8th grade. Some of you may remember it, some of you may not, that it's to the odd power. So that means there's a tail down. It's going to cross the x-axis possibly 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I did that right. And what about its y-intercept? Okay, y means I'm going to put 0 in for x. 0 minus 2 is -2. -2 to the 10th power. Ooh, that's a big number. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 to the 10th power is a positive number. Negative 2 is a negative number. So my answer is going to be negative. And in fact, it's going to be negative 2 to the 9th. And you may be thinking, wait, how did you get that? Well, negative 2 to the 10th, if I wrote it out, is basically negative 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 10 times. You're really going to make me write this out 10 times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lost my negatives in there. And divided by negative 2 means one of them cross off, and I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Voila. And we know anything raised to the 9th power. Oops, sorry. Got ahead of myself. So at highest degree of 9, so it's one tail up, one tail down, and 9 possible real roots. So that's what it's going to look like there. And here, the y-intercept is negative 2 to the 9th power, which is a really, really huge number. So again, what we want you to get today's lesson is that you're looking and you're seeing that, 1, I've got a multiplication going on, and then I've got a division going on. Okay, that's the 8th grade end. High school end, this is going to be graphed. So we have to know what the basic shape of this is after we perform our mathematical operations. Well, basically, I'm going to have an x cubed on the top. I'm going to have an x on the bottom. So that's going to leave me with an x squared. You got it. That means it's quadratic. It's positive x squared. So we know it's going to be both ends up. And the y-intercept here? Well, let's see. We can do the y-intercept here. These numbers are not big. 0 minus 2 cubed over 0 minus 2. Well, that's negative 2 cubed over negative 2. A couple of ways you can do it, but most of you, the easiest way you will do is negative 2 cubed is negative 8 divided by negative 2 gets me 4. So our y-intercept is positive 4. So that means if we were to draw it real quickly, I know I don't have arrows on both ends of my axis, it's a quadratic that goes through a y-intercept of 0, 4, so it possibly could look like that. Maybe it looks like that. But we do know that it's got to go through 0, 4.